Welcome you all. We'll look into a brief introduction on interrupts and exceptions of Cortex M3 in this video. Exceptions and interrupts are unexpected events that occur during the normal flow of execution of a processor. Interrupts are unexpected events that occur from outside the processor. That is, they are the action of some event that had occurred in the peripheral device. And in exceptions are unexpected events that occur from within the processor due to some fault condition or some mismanagement. In Cortex M3, exceptions and interrupts are handled in a very efficient manner. We'll look into these exceptions and interrupts handling in this lecture. As we have seen earlier, Cortex M3 can handle up to 240 interrupt requests at a time, and a total of 256 interrupts can be handled by this microcontroller. So these interrupts are associated with unique numbers. These exceptions are here numbered as 1 to 15, the system exceptions, and from 16 onwards up to 240, the external interrupts are numbered. So total of 256 entries will be stored in a table called as vector table. These exceptions have got different priority levels which are programmable. That is, some exceptions have higher priority and some exceptions have lower priority, and a few have fixed priority. So a higher priority exception can preempt a lower priority exceptions. That means even though a lower priority exception has occurred first and a higher priority exception has occurred later, the higher priority exception will be handled first as it has higher priority. And reset, non-maskable interrupt and hard faults are having fixed priority levels. The value of the currently running exception is indicated by the special register IPSR. We have seen earlier that IPSR, that is interrupt program status register, is a component of the special register program status register, of which the last 8 bits display the number of the exception that is currently being handled. These exceptions and interrupts are handled in a controller unit called as Nested Vectored Interrupt Controller, abbreviated as NVIC. This NVIC is responsible for managing and handling up to 240 interrupt request signals in addition to a non-maskable interrupt. So these non-maskable interrupts are the ones which cannot be avoided. These are very crucial and have high priority. So the NVIC also automatically handles nested interrupts such as comparing priorities between interrupt requests and the current priority level. As I've told you, the higher priority interrupt can preempt a lower priority interrupt. So all that is managed by the NVIC. In addition to this, there is this wake-up interrupt controller WIC that is used when the microcontroller is in the sleep mode as well. So this is basically used for low power applications, and it will detect the interrupt when the processor is in the sleep mode, and once it occurs, it informs the power management unit to power up the system. The table shown here gives the detailed list of exceptions along with their priority levels and exception number. The exception number 1 is the reset exception type with the highest priority. Here the priority number is -3, that is having the highest priority. So the function of this reset pin is to invoke the initial setup of the system, that is to invoke the BIOS, that is basic input output system, that is stored in the ROM. This loads the operating system from the secondary memory to the primary memory and also initializes the various settings, and then control is passed to the user. So since it is loading the OS, it is having highest priority. The next interrupt exception is exception number 2, that is the NMI, that is non-maskable interrupt. Non-maskable interrupt is having the next priority level, next to highest. So this is, as I have told, it is a very crucial interrupt which cannot be avoided and have to be attended immediately. So the system errors or high level non-recoverable hardware errors are the non-maskable interrupts. So they have to be rectified immediately. Next one is third exception number 3, that is hard fault. So this is having the next priority. Note here the priority numbers are negative here. So this is all fault conditions if the corresponding fault handler is not enabled. So we have this next 3 fault exceptions, that is memory management fault exception, bus fault exception and usage fault exception. So all these are programmable. So memory management fault will occur when you try to access a restricted region or execute code from a non-executable region, or when you are trying to write to a read-only memory region, or an access in user level to a region defined as privileged access level, right? So all these come under memory management fault. So if you are trying to access some memory which you are not allowed to, this come under this category. These faults come under this category. Bus fault is bus error. That is when an error response is received during a transfer. Next is usage faults. This is exceptions due to program error. That is when you are trying to execute undefined instructions, or when you are trying to switch to ARM state, which is not allowed in the Cortex M3. As you know, Cortex M3 operates only in the thumb state, I mean executes only thumb instruction set, right? So trying to switch to ARM state or invalid interrupt return, that means the link register is containing some invalid address or unaligned memory access using multiple load and store instructions. We have talked of unaligned data. So if the multiple load and store instructions are trying to access unaligned data, or if you are trying to do a divide by zero operation. So all these come under usage faults. So if for all these fault conditions, if the corresponding fault handler is not enabled, which are programmable, then a hard fault will occur. As you see here, exception number 7 to 10 are not used, they are reserved. Next is SV call, that is SVC, System Service Call, and PEND SV, which we'll see later, are the two exceptions targeted at software and operating system. So instead of allowing the user programs to directly access hardware, operating system may provide access to hardware via this SVC. Debug monitor is pertaining to the debug mode. So when the processor is in the debugging mode, this exception will be activated. And next, this is reserved, and 14 is pend SV. So this is also a exception which works with the SVC in the OS. So this can be pended and is useful for an OS to pend an exception so that an action can be performed after other important tasks with higher priority are completed. 15th one is the system tick timer, and from 16 onwards it is external interrupt request. So it is numbered as external interrupt 0, 1 up to 239. All these are programmable and external interrupts. So whenever an exception or an interrupt occurs, its corresponding interrupt service routine has to be executed. So please understand that every interrupt is associated with a interrupt service routine, abbreviated as ISR. So every interrupt is associated with its corresponding ISR. ISR is a piece of code which needs to be executed when that particular interrupt or exception occurs. For example, so when exception number 1, that is reset, occurs, the system has to be, the operating system has to be loaded. So the code required for loading the operating system has to be executed. So that is the ISR for exception number 1, that is the reset exception, right? So the addresses, these interrupt service routines are stored in different places in memory. So the addresses of these interrupt service routines are stored in a table called as the vector table. Okay. So the processor will need to locate the starting address of the exception handler when an exception is being handled. This information is stored in the vector table. So exception handler is nothing but your interrupt service routine. So whenever an exception occurs, its particular exception handler is to be executed, and the starting address of this exception handler is stored in one place called as the vector table. Okay. So we'll see the vector table. So here at address 00000000, remember this is a 32-bit address written in hex. So 0x means the following number is a hexadecimal number. So your 32 bits will be resulting in 8 hex digits. Okay. So in address 00000000, the initial value of the main stack pointer will be stored. So the stack pointer is 32 bits, so it will occupy 4 memory locations. So the next available location is 00000004. So starting from 4 onwards, the interrupt service starting address of the interrupt service routine of the corresponding interrupts are stored. So the exception number 1 is the reset, right? So whenever a reset occurs, as I told you, the operating system has to be loaded, and the code required to load the operating system is the ISR for the reset exception, and the starting address of this code is stored in address 0004. Next exception number 2 is the address of the ISR for the next exception number 2 is stored in 8, because all addresses are 32 bits. The addresses of the interrupt service routines will be occupying 4 memory locations. Likewise, the next memory location for holding the address of the ISR of exception number 3 will be C, and this will continue accordingly. So this is the vector table where you get the starting addresses of all the exception handlers in one place. So whenever an exception, particular exception occurs, it will jump to that location, and in that location it will find the starting address of the interrupt service routine corresponding to that interrupt. So it will jump to that location and execute that piece of code. Thank you.